Live.
What's up, guys?
What's going on, everybody?
Brian Schroeder, Sam Prim, Lucas Walls, and Phil Blackwood here with Faster House, a real estate investment company. We're going to talk about real estate today and real estate investing and dispositions with Phil Blackwood. Dispositions for our wholesaling business.
The best dispositions guy in town.
Right. Hands down. Nobody even close.
And he's building a rental portfolio on the side, right?
Absolutely.
Just crushing it too, so we're going to get into that.
That's the goal, right?
It is the goal. Hey, for those of you guys in the St. Louis area, we are going to start our Buyers Club is going to be back in person in June.
Yep, third Thursday of June.
Third Thursday to June 18th, live and in person at the Water's Edge Banquet Center. So I hope you guys can all make it out. This era of social distancing, I guess, still is around, but the era of businesses being closed is America's opening back up.
Yep.
Yes, we will keep our distance, but while we're being social.
Right on. It'll be fun. I'm excited about it. I've missed it. It's been since February, right?
Yep, yeah, it's been a little bit.
It's a long time.
Just talked to a buyer outside. They closed on a house in Wangler, and Tara spread the word about Buyers Club. It's like,
Nice.
we're in person going June, so you need to come. It's Rich.
Yep.
Nice.
Shout out to Rich. Yeah, what's up, Rich Nation?
Hooray,
Brian
Johnson says
Johnson,
hooray. I don't know that's how you spell hooray. Maybe
It's
it
with
is.
a U.
It's with a U, but that's okay, Brian. You're close. We get the sentiment behind it.
Well, welcome to the live stream, guys. We do this every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. So thanks for joining us. Always come back on Thursdays at 11:30 a.m. It's Polo Thursday. Looking good. It is Polo Thursday. We were talking about that earlier.
We were telling Phil to take his polo off, but he wouldn't do it.
I don't want to see that. That's not a good vision.
So we have a boots on the ground company in the St. Louis area. We have a flipping business where we're going to flip 182 houses this year. That's our plan. We got a hard money lending business where we got about, well, we wish we had 10 million out. We got about 8 million out today.
You've had well over 10 million out, though.
Yeah.
It'll ramp back up soon.
Slow down a little bit. It ramped down a little bit. We got rentals. We got like 250 some rentals between the panelists here today.
Yeah.
We got a
I play a
traditional.
big part in that.
Yeah. It would be 248 without you, right?
That's right.
It sounds better. 250.
We have a traditional brokerage that's just rocking it with Magnolia Real Estate. Shout out to Matt Becker. And we have our education gig, which we're doing here today. So, hey, everybody, we'd love it if you would like this, share this, to help spread the word. We're here every Thursday morning at 11:30. We'd love for you to ask questions.
Brian loves questions.
I love questions. Any real estate investment related question. Doesn't have to be on any specific topic. Like today, we're with Phil, who does dispositions on our wholesaling business. But we can talk about rentals or
Why you got into real estate in the first place, I think is a big thing with Phil too. I want to
Yeah.
talk about. So if anybody's out there looking to make a jump into real estate, whether it be full-time or still a W-2 job, let us know your thoughts around that.
yes. So fill that chat box up with questions. We will answer them. Any kind of questions you got, real estate investment related. So market activity. Let's talk about market activity for just a minute. So how are leads this week for our flipping business? Sam?
Leads have been really good. We had 8 leads yesterday, which is a lot. We shoot for 4 or 5 a day, so 8 was awesome. We ended up having a little over, I think, right at 20 leads maybe in the last week. So that's our goal is to have 20 leads, and we had 4 buys in the last week. So I think we just had our meeting. I think we've done like 4 buys, 5 buys, 4 buys, 7 buys, and 4 buys in the past several weeks. So it's consistency. So our buys have been good, leads have been good. The market's definitely picking up. I think we just got another one under contract this morning. Killer Cam got that one under contract. So yeah, the action and the market's good.
Awesome.
Yeah, on the sales side, got 4 we sold this week. That's pretty much all Phil because we don't have a lot of retail stuff right now because it's just going so fast. So Phil's selling the wholesale stuff super fast. Sold 4 this past week, and I think we're going to sell at least 1 or 2 today, I think.
Yeah, the market on my side, the buyer pool is picking back up. It took probably about a 6-week swing there in the middle of the COVID stuff. So But in the past two, 3 weeks in particular, buyers are calling me wanting houses, so makes my job a lot easier that way. So
Yeah, I think everyone was nervous for a little bit what was going on. Everybody but me and him wasn't buying houses. So
it was a little buying houses and selling houses. It was kind of dried up there. So, but it's picking back up full force here. So.
Good. Loans have been good this week. Suzanne just said we have, what did she say, four?
Four.
Four loans this week, which is good. Traditional brokerage is good. It's amazing how resilient the market is. People just keep buying and selling houses. Rents. We always talk about rent collections. So just when is this? May 21st? Is that what it is? So we have collected 97% of our rent per May. So I think it's pretty good.
That's great. Yeah, I think initially we were thinking May would kind of be a little slower than April.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen that at all. May's been just as strong as April for us. It's not a little stronger.
yeah, I think we didn't collect 100% like you guys did last month, but we were at like that 96% around that, and we're slightly ahead of where we were last month. We thought May would be down a little bit. So as long as we're, collecting more 95%, the last couple months, and this month I think we'll be happy with it. Of course, we'd like 100, but things are a little bit more challenging for people. So,
So all in all, I think rent collection has been pretty good through this. One thing that I noticed for our rental portfolio, we've had fewer people moving out this spring than normal. So it's been a weird thing that's happened with this virus. Typically May and June are some of our bigger months for tenants moving, May, June, July. We've had less people moving this year, and I don't know, I attribute it to the virus. Maybe it was just coincidence.
I don't think they're allowed to. Insurance in this county, right? They're gonna stay home.
Well, one of the biggest expenses in a rental business is turnover. So I love it that our tenants aren't moving. It's just kind of a little bonus I feel like we're having here.
Yep.
Yeah, I think all this stay-at-home stuff just made single-family rentals that much more attractive. We have some smaller apartments in our portfolio that don't seem as attractive to both us and the tenants when you have to stay home for 2 months in a row. So I really like the idea of single-family rentals, and I'm bullish on that at the moment.
Yeah, I was on a podcast yesterday, and we talked about that a little bit, how there's a couple of big companies that are going really heavy into building single-family houses. I know in North Texas they're doing a huge push towards building houses right outside of town because they think people are going to move out of town a little bit. So I definitely think we're going to probably still do some apartments here and there, but definitely stacking up the rentals.
Single-family rentals is good right now.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Dustin Hogue and Dingy. Thanks for joining us, guys. What's up, Dustin? What's going on, Din? So our trusted vendor shout out today is Call Porter. So Call Porter is a service. They're a nationwide service. They happen to be here in the St. Louis area, but they'll do service anywhere in the nation. And what they do is, if you're doing a lot of marketing direct to seller and you're getting a lot of calls coming in and you don't want to answer those live, or you're not able to answer those live for some reason, they will do that. It's a live answering service that's specializes in real estate investing, so they understand the real estate investing questions and terms and stuff. So if you guys have a need for anything along those, reach out to Call Porter. Justin Dassey runs the company there. He's a friend and a good guy. So anyway, if anybody has a need for service like that, shout out to Call Porter. Cam, what's up? Does Sam have 2 mugs?
One of them is a mug of coffee. One of them is water, Cam. Thanks for noticing, though. Appreciate your attention to detail.
Gotta stay
High maintenance.
Gotta stay hydrated and caffeinated at the same time.
Right on. What's up, BJ and Charles? CJ, BJ and CJ, right? Back to back. I like it.
Not quite alphabetical order, but that's okay.
All right, we're gonna talk with Phil Blackwood here a little bit today. So thanks for joining us, Phil.
Thank you guys. Pleasure.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it. Sure.
So what do you do for Faster House? I know it's dispositions. What is dispositions? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, for sure. So for the Faster House side, we have 4 acquisitions guys, all rock stars. They go out, buy houses, and stay in touch, communicate with them. And whenever they buy a house, it is my job to turn those properties to investors as quickly as I can. So I do the wholesale side. Claire does the retail side. I'm sure Claire will be a guest on here at one point.
Yes.
But I get to do the fun job of selling to local rehabbers and landlords here.
Yeah, we want our acquisition guys focused on buying. Go get the house with the best deal you can. Give us the information we need, and then move on and go buy another one. We don't want them tied down with having to schedule showings and having to get people in the property and negotiate and get everything under contract and worry about title. That's all your job. So you make it a lot easier on the buyers to be able to get rid of the properties.
Well, it's just easy to just to build a relationship with the local landlords and investors here to have a go-to person on the dispo side too. So I think that really helps.
How long you been here, Phil?
I've been here a little over a year, May 1st.
How many houses have you sold in the last year?
Just on the wholesale side, I've sold over 125 houses.
Very nice.
So it's incredible.
That's a lot of houses. It's
It
like
is.
one every 3 days.
I tell
Yeah.
I tell the guys this all the time though, but I hit the jackpot on real estate experience as far as a job goes. 125 houses is possibly be more than a realtor sells in their whole life. I've done that in 1 year thanks to these guys and the guidance. So I've learned a ton in the past year.
Do you remember every one of those houses?
I could probably, not all of them, but I can probably give you a little bit of story if I had a list on each one of the houses. So
I think he's tried to forget some of them, probably.
I have, yes. Some good, some easy ones, some not so easy ones, but the hard ones are the ones where you learn. So,
Brian, can I tell a story about
Yeah.
Phil? So Lucas and I talked to Phil about taking this job. He had zero real estate experience. He was working on his first rehab and just got his license. And we were kind of kicking around the idea, thought it'd be good, his organizational skills, and he'd fit in with the company. And so we talked about it a little bit over a golf weekend pretty casually. And then we met for lunch that following Tuesday. We explained everything to him, and he's like, I'm in. And we're like, all right, well, let's go back and talk. And then he texted us like an hour after lunch. He's like, can I tell my boss that I'm quitting? He wasn't scared at all. He'd worked at this enterprise, a great company, for 8 or 9 years. And he just was like, can I tell him right now? I think you ended up telling him that day. We were thinking of going to let it marinate for a little bit, but you told your boss that very day, didn't you?
I did, yeah. It's one of those things where, if you guys know me, a lot of people, if you're watching, I have a very conservative approach to things, but for some reason when that opportunity came apart and we talked, I was like, I got to do it. I got to jump and make the loop here. So haven't looked back since. So it's been awesome. It was a little terrifying at the beginning, but it's worked out for the best for sure.
Well, I think there's a couple important things that I want to hit on there. So Phil had a W-2 job at Enterprise, but you've always wanted more. You always thought, you could get some passive income off rentals, probably was your dream.
Yep.
And both you and Brian took a career in real estate, close to real estate, a W-2 job, to help you kind of transition into that maybe full-time investor down the road. I think that's just super smart because you can cram all that knowledge that you're talking about into a short amount of time.
Yeah, and like I said, I had the jackpot with the company here, Fast House, not just because I work here. The environment's awesome, but everybody supports your personal business as well, which is very hard to come by. And the freedom that we have to invest in our personal portfolios is incredible. So it's been an absolute pleasure so far.
All right, make sure to, if you're just tuning in, make sure to post comments or questions, anything real estate related. We're kind of talking about getting into real estate and wholesale disposition, but anything about real estate, make sure to throw in the comments. We'll pull it up right when we get a chance and answer it. And then please like and share as well. Back to you, Brian.
So, Phil, have you got any advice on if there's a rehabber or a landlord out there that wants to buy houses and they want to buy from a wholesaler like yourself, how do they best communicate with a wholesaler, or a dispositions guy for a company like ours or any other company or any wholesaler? What advice would you give to somebody? How do you want people to communicate with you?
Yeah, communication is the key. Everybody that I talk to and build relationships with, and they come to me directly to buy houses, that is the first step. Communicate with the wholesaler. Get in front of them. If you want deals, you can't just sit and wait for email blast. You got to get in front of the wholesaler there, the dispo guy for whatever, a local company here. So that's the first thing. The second thing is be very specific on what you want. because then we can reach out. It's a lot easier for us to hit an easy button. We don't have to market a lot of the properties that way. But the biggest thing, it's kind of with the same with the questions, is communicate with us. And that way we can communicate back and build that strong relationship and kind of move forward from there.
How do you like people to communicate with you? Just give you a call or stop by the office, text you? What do you like to do?
All of it. With how fast paced it is, text is probably the easiest because with me and the way my mind works, I try to stay as organized as I can. And one of the things that I do on a daily basis is make sure that I keep up with all of my texts, in phone calls as well. But for me, it's kind of an open book, but the most effective way is in person for sure. Like at Buyers Club, or if you want to stop by the office and say, hi, I'm looking for a house. That really resonates with me as well.
Buy you a beer too, maybe?
And text me at that number right there, or call.
Or buy you a beer, right? That works too.
I do like beer. I like beer a lot.
What about FaceTime? Is it the best to FaceTime you?
Yeah, Mike Cooley. I don't know if he's on here or not, but Mike Cooley called me at a house the other day. He FaceTimed me. I was like, what the heck is this? And knowing Mike, I don't really know Mike that well, but it's like his personality too. So it was pretty funny. But I got it. I was at Schnucks at the time, getting beer.
Yeah.
I got a question up there, Brian. You finish your thought and we'll get to the question.
All right, let me just finish my thought. Phil said something I just kind of want to emphasize a little bit because I think it's super important. Is if somebody kind of gives you a really good indication of what they're looking for, that helps you when you find a deal like that. Rather than if somebody just calls you and say, hey, send me a deal.
Yeah. Does
that do anything for you? Versus I'm looking for houses in like St. Peter's, or whatever. I don't know. How do you like that?
Yeah, no, the more specific that you get, the better chance that I'll remember to send the deal to you right off the bat. And keep getting on the list and everything. It's good. You'll see some blasts that are perfect for you, but I'm really into building relationships with our buyers. And if I know exactly what you want, man, it's just so much easier for us as a company to sell things to hungry investors that we know will be interested in that property. So it's just a huge thing that I try to keep organized as much as I can with our buyers, as we have thousands and thousands of buyers here just in St. Louis alone, and it's impossible to keep up with that many. So if you're giving me a call once a week, and I always tell everybody, it's okay to be a pest when it comes to this because it's my job to sell it. If you're hungry for a property, you want one that week, keep texting me, get on my ass about it, and let's call.
He's giving you permission to bug him and pest him, right?
Yeah,
that's what that is.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, we need to record that and get it in an email blast. He's giving us permission.
To an extent.
Sam, you want to take this question?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, I was glancing at it. So how were those places structured? Rentals, rehabs, wholesale to retail?
Thanks for the question. Warring Alice.
I love that name. Love that question. Those places, trying to figure out exactly what you mean.
Our company.
Probably our company. So, and definitely follow up on this question. But as far as our goal is to buy 182 houses this year. I always say we buy between 150 and 200, just to kind of round numbers. But yeah, I would say out of those, if we buy 182 this year, we will probably wholesale well over 100. And then we'll rehab probably 40 to 50. Maybe we'll throw a couple on the MLS, and then we'll keep some in the house as rentals. So those are kind of our exit strategies for that. If that was what your question was asking, if that's not it, definitely clarify. We'll get into any whatever detail you have. But
yeah, and that's the flipping business, and then the rentals are a whole separate company.
Yeah.
So,
but if that's not answering your question, great question though. If that's what you're asking, if not, let us know. We'll clarify for you. And any other questions you have, just get them out there.
Awesome. So Phil, can you talk about what you have learned in the last year? I know you didn't have a ton of real estate experience before you came. So is there any specific things that you've learned over the last year you want to share?
Yeah. So I think so. There's I think there's a misconception out there, a misperception of wholesalers, and there may be some bad apples out there, but wholesaling is there to help people. And that's what I've learned the most. Is the biggest thing that I can kind of portray here is be honest as much as you can. Whenever you're doing this job, wholesaling is an option to help a seller out. It's not to be shady behind their back and sell it to another investor. That is a big thing in my job. As far as real estate goes, I can sit here for hours and talk about what I've learned.
But
But
we only have 45 minutes.
yeah, fair enough. But just the different types of investing, the biggest thing that I love to learn about and that I've learned about in the past year is the different options you have on the financing part. You can have zero money in the game if you do the BRRRR and walk away with a property and add 25 grand to your net worth without spending a dime, which I didn't believe those guys whenever I first learned about it. But in the past year, that's kind of been the key point for me, is just learning how to invest the proper way and being smart with it and trying not to use my money and still building your net worth. And that's my end goal in real estate as well.
Yeah, there's a couple ways that you can buy if you don't have a bunch of money and you want to become a real estate investor. One is wholesaling. You don't need to have any money to do any deals in wholesaling. Just get it under contract with a nice contingency. Sell that contract. You got to get it under contract at a really good price, but then you sell that contract for a fee.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. It just kind of blew my mind of the different ways, and that's what kind of pulled me into real estate. Is you can make money in so many different ways in here. And it's
What do you see as a typical average wholesale fee or assignment fee these days? What are you seeing people typically making on a wholesale deal?
Here, I mean, just in general, from what I've seen, I think the average probably be around 8,000 to 12,000. I know that's a big range, but
Yeah.
That's a pretty solid fee. And wholesalers have a different mindset on that. There's wholesalers out there that want to hit the easy button and know they have a buyer that they'll get rid of it for $3 grand just because they know that it's the easy button, and that's great. So, and again, that just goes to the point that you can make money a ton of different ways. But then if you buy a house very steep, I mean, I've seen $50,000 assignments.
What's the biggest wholesale fee you've ever been a part of?
It was
We probably didn't assign that one.
probably not. It was a double close. It was a double close, and I think it was 45 grand.
Yeah.
That's just been
That's a good
the next
day.
year. Yeah, and there's been some other ones. There's been multiple in the 30s.
Do you know what the biggest assignment or wholesale fee we paid somebody else to buy a deal?
Oh, geez, we've paid a lot. I feel like we've paid just as much as we've made on a deal before. As long as the deal works for you, don't be worrying about what the wholesaler is going to make. You know,
That's a huge thing. It's for me when I write a contract up, or like there's people that I know and I trust that we'll assign to, and they'll see how much we're making on the deal. But the advice that is don't worry about what they got it under contract for, or what they're selling it to you for. Make sure it makes sense on your side.
Yeah.
I bought a house from the Faster House here for a $25,000 assignment 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I had to negotiate hard with Phil Vincent on that. If it was up to him, it'd probably been 30. But thanks for cutting the deal. But look at the back end. If it makes sense for you and what you're trying to accomplish in your real estate goals, that's what you need to focus on. Don't get mad when a wholesaler comes to you and tries to assign a property for 20 grand. It's not going to make the relationship will be ruined at that point. So
When you're shopping a property that Faster House owns or has under contract, is the house typically vacant or occupied, and what are the challenges versus one versus the other?
just depends. So to answer your question, it could be occupied or vacant. When it's occupied, it could be owner occupied or tenant occupied. Vacant houses are nice. They're super easy. We throw a lockbox on it if we get an agreement with the seller. Again, it goes back to the point of communicating with the seller up front with kind of what we're trying to do, getting partners into the property to see it. The difficult part of the wholesaling is getting walkthrough scheduled when it is occupied. So if it was owner occupied, you kind of got to walk a little bit of a line, but you got to be honest with them. The biggest thing is, hey, we're bringing 4 or 5 people through here. They're business partners. We're going to close on this house. We have the financial capability to do that as a company here. We promise that. But we're going to walk 4 or 5 people through. It's going to take 15 to 20 minutes, and then we're out of your hair. And 99.9% of the time, the seller is completely on board with that, and they're great. There are times that they aren't really on board with it, and I've been cussed at and yelled at. And it is what it is. I mean, I've kind of had to develop some thick skin and kind of get over my fear of that, because when I first started, it was just like, I don't want to bother these people here, but ultimately we're trying to help sell their house. Whether we buy it or another investor buys it on the back end, they want to leave. So that's just what you got to think about.
I think that's super cool that you shared that when you started, you were sometimes afraid of what sellers would think or whatever. I think a lot of people are in that scenario.
I think to this day, there's some adrenaline involved.
It's kind of a rush. I kind of turned it into a negative into a positive on kind of just trying to take the bull by the horns. Like, I need to sell this house, so whatever we need to do. And I'm motivated by money. I think everybody here is. But we also want to walk the fine line of keeping a really good relationship with the seller, because they can make things really hard on you, or they can make it easy on you. So be aggressive, get in the house, get investors there, but be honest to your sellers. That's the biggest thing.
Good advice.
Well said.
What's up, Dustin? Everybody wave Dusty.
Dusty Sanders, what's up, boys?
He's sitting at his desk.
So, Phil, do you got any advice for somebody newer to the business wanting to get started, or someone who's just buying a few houses a year trying to ramp it up to a bigger scale? Any advice for either of those?
Yeah. So as in a wholesaler or an investor?
Either one, however you want to take it.
We'll start with a wholesaler. When I accepted this position or whatever, they reached out on seeing if it would be a good fit. I had no idea what a wholesaler was.
And you took the job.
I took the job. They were just like,
why did you take this job?
You're going to sell 150 properties a year. And I was like, that sounds like a cool experience. So I was like, yeah, that's cool. So it doesn't, the biggest thing going into a wholesaler is you need to learn the ways of the game. And surround yourself with good people that know the game. There is tons of ways to do that, and the biggest thing is the network. Go to buyers clubs, go to other meetups around, reach out to wholesalers. I know the Facebook boards have a ton of wholesalers on them. That's the biggest way you're going to learn. And I will say this, I was given kind of the golden ticket into wholesaling because I'm given properties to sell. Being a wholesaler, you have to do your own acquisitions and dispositions, whole roundabout, and that's a little bit more difficult. So the more knowledge you put in, the more education. It doesn't have to be expensive. Really, the knowledge is free if you go to these the buyers clubs, or very minimal. To get that education, set up a plan, and then from there execute your plan, and stick to your plan. And that's the biggest thing. Don't go off and be like, well, I want to be a wholesaler now, and then all of a sudden a week later, I'm going to change it into a realtor. Get a vision and follow through with the vision. It's the biggest advice I have.
And something that you do really good at, and if you have a family, this is a big decision. So make sure they're on board and communicate with your family like you do, Phil, because it's not just you that is on the line for this. It's your whole family.
Exactly. Yeah. And when I talk to my wife too, and we whenever I kind of made the transition from being in finance and revenue management for enterprise for 9 years and moving over to real estate, I had conversation with my wife prior to of, hey, what these guys are doing are really cool. Kind of just putting a little birdie in her ear when that time came. I had no idea it was going to come. And like I said, it's kind of a spur of the moment thing. But if you're thinking about getting into real estate, there are so many resources out there to utilize. And most of them are free. There's some really good education programs out there too. If you're looking to build a rental portfolio, I know that FasterFreedom's rolling that out. The webinars, they're minimal expenses for the knowledge that you'll gain. And if you invest in yourself and get a vision of what you want to do and follow through with it, you'll be very successful in this business. Guaranteed.
Awesome.
I like it. I like the confidence.
Well said again, Phil.
Well said, Phil. So, Phil, what's a typical day in the life of Phil these days? What
Get
do
up
you
about
do?
10 o'clock, 10:30.
Play around golf.
Have a beer, play around a golf, and sell some houses on the whole night.
Yeah, that's in a nutshell. Yeah. No, so I'm gonna shame on myself a little bit here. I used to be more of a morning person than I am now. When I was with Enterprise, I was up at 5:30 every morning, had a structure throughout the day. With all this COVID stuff and everything else, I've kind of let myself slip a little bit, and now we have 2 kids at home, and sleep is cherished. So I get up a little bit later now than I used to, but I try to get in the office by 8:30, 9 o'clock now. Set my day up, notes right there. I know Lucas does that as well, and it's just kind of a way of my life of staying organized. I'm making sure that I hit everything I need to do for the day. So first thing, get my day organized, but the biggest thing that I do from basically 9 to noon is getting everything set up from what I missed either the night before or what I need to follow up with on the properties that we have. So anything that we have in lieu, there's an offer out there that we haven't accepted, I'll follow up with them and kind of get the ducks in a row from there. So I try to sell a lot of houses in the morning. And then after we lunch, get back around 1. That is kind of my shopping time. That's when we'll get everything. I'll discuss with the guys here and the buyers kind of what we're looking to shop, get walkthroughs set up. And speaking of walkthroughs, if there's a owner occupied or tenant occupied property that we have a walkthrough for, I like to schedule those for the end of the week. For some reason, investors like that better than the beginning of the week. In my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that makes sense.
So we do a lot of the walkthroughs Thursday and Friday mornings around 9 o'clock. We like to get those squared away. And that's, so you kind of got to be flexible because I'm at properties a lot, taking pictures and getting an idea of what we want to shop things for, getting on the MLS and kind of brainstorming with these guys. But that's kind of what I do on a daily basis.
Cool, Phil. I'm sure with those 100 and some houses that you've sold over the last year, there's got to be some crazy things that have happened or a crazy story in there. Anything come to mind?
Yeah. So, man, there's some funny ones and there's some crazy ones. I have a few here. We'll start with the funny one to kind of lighten the mood a little bit. It's a house that we didn't even end up buying, but I saw talking to Lucas one day, and Lucas was like, "Hey, go take a look at this house." Okay, cool. We'll look at it. It's in St. Peter's here. Really great subdivision, and even the outside looked okay. I walked in and I was scared for my life. Like this was one of the nastiest houses I have ever seen in my life. And it was at the time. So I walk in, I'm scared. There's no electric on, so I have my phone and everything else up and running. And I'm like, do I dare go down to the basement? Because they give me the creeps in general. I go down to the basement.
Basements give you the creeps?
Some of them do, especially with no electric. Like Kevin McAllister. I can't see anything. I have my light.
It's kind of the wimp, Brian. Is he? Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. You got to see the systems, though.
That's right. I had to see the systems.
The foundation.
If it didn't have electric, I was kind of going into that. I knew kind of what the systems were like. So I was like, okay. Walk down the stairs, and I'm almost down to the bottom, and all of a sudden, kapow, I fall through the steps. I was probably about four steps down from the bottom.
So like up to here on you?
Yeah, I fell through, and the step caught me. The step that I landed on caught me from when I would have been, like, I would have fell on my ass. Like, I would have been sprawled out, and it would have been bad. And that was just part A. Part B was, okay, I'm down here now. I'm going to go take a look and deal with that issue later. So look at everything's fine, whatever. And then I have the kind of the obstacle of pulling my 235-pound butt up these stairs to try to get back upstairs, and then coming up with the story of what's not embarrassing on it. So just own it. So I own that. I somehow was able to pull enough strength. I think it was the adrenaline. That's the only way I got up that thing. But walked straight out of the house, put the lockbox back on, and never went back to that house again.
So the next guy that went there fell down the last 4
Yes.
stairs.
So Todd Liston,
I'm kidding.
he's in our group, and Todd, it was the Fordyce house, if you're listening. But
Man, that would have been funny if you could get back up. You guys had to call one of us, like I'm stuck in the basement.
I died. You had your phone. I did have my phone. That place was creepy.
I've gone down to basements before where there's no light, not knowing where you're going into, and then there's like a foot of water that just stuck into it.
I've done that too. You just don't even know it. Then all of a sudden,
Sucks.
I say, "Where's it?" You can't say right now, but yeah.
Houses are dangerous. Yeah, be careful out there.
That's why we're in this business, because we help a lot of people that need to sell houses that they've been deteriorated for whatever reason, you know. And we see a lot of crazy, ugly houses, but some also really nice houses too. So there's all kinds of different scenarios.
All different kinds, all different price ranges. We've had a house that we lost money when we bought it for $4,000, and we lost money.
How do we lose money when we buy it for $4,000?
It was.
We sold it
not
for
good.
$5 3 months later.
So Dennis
Only
probably
lost-
bought that
yeah.
one, right? So Phil's going to tell us another story, but in the meantime, ask questions. If you have any questions, fill out that chat box. Ask questions, like and share it if you're just tuning in. So Phil's going to tell us another fun story, but throw some questions in there if you have them.
Yeah, so we have an ongoing story here. There's been a lot of hands in this one. But I was, the buyer bought it. We went in there, looked at it, it was great. We put a lockbox on it. We sold the property. Everything's good to go. And then we all of a sudden get a call from the city of Arnold saying that our house, or this duplex, was one part of it was a meth house. And we had no idea. It was crazy. And we're like, we didn't really sign up for that. Wasn't disclosed or anything. So from there, we're trying to figure out the logistics of, okay, it has meth. What do we do now? We lost the end buyer on it because we had to disclose it, and it came up when we went to close. So we fell out of contract with that. So the next thing is how do we remediate? So I'm on the phone with the city of Arnold, and we just closed on this house, so I was frustrated on how we closed on the house without.
Phil's trying to set it up as if he didn't yell at who he's about to talk to. So keep going.
I was there, but you just I want to see how you
I
spin
didn't
this.
yell at her. I told her very politely that she was wrong. Because we had just closed on the property, and we had no idea that it had meth, and we own the property now, and then sold it. And I was like, well, why the hell can't we sell this thing? Because we just did it. So, and if the city of Arnold is watching, I apologize. But it ended up being, we got the building commissioner involved, and I kind of set us up for not the greatest of communication lines from now or from then until now. It's been about 7 months.
7 months. We had to ended up having to rip out all the drywall. There's birds in there now, and the tenant on the other side keeps calling us, "Hey, get these birds out of here." I don't know how to get birds out of a house without a net. So, and finally today, our project manager CJ told us that they passed the remediation, and we can now move forward with putting this place back together.
Right.
Read your drywall, new kitchen,
Yeah.
flooring.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we'll sell it retail.
We'll sell it on the retail side, but it's been an absolute roller coaster of a ride. And it goes back to my being honest, but also be polite at the beginning, especially with cities and municipalities.
Phil yelled at him. I heard him.
Did
say-
not yell at her.
I-
She just got her feelings hurt.
I heard him saying, "This is not funny. Stop laughing." I don't know who you're talking to. It might have been the
They
commissioner at
were
that point.
laughing at you, the city of Arnold.
He said it's
laughing
not
at you?
funny.
Well, they're laughing at us now too because it's been 7 months later. Sorry, get a little fired up now, even still.
You see how it happened. We can all see it.
I want to change gears just a little bit. So Phil has 2 rental houses. One of them kind of went back and forth between a rental, rehab and sell retail, and now back to a rental. Can you just talk about your thought process? This is your very first rental house. Can you talk about your thought process on that and what you were thinking?
Yeah, so I'll start at the beginning. Bought a house from Fast House here. So Dusty bought this house, and I was like, I love Wholesaling. I live right there. So I was like, that's a great place to start a portfolio of rentals. So I talked to Dusty. We tried to get into this house. We can't get into this house. There's a tenant there currently going through the eviction process. Took a month or 2 to get the eviction process. She's finally out, but I had already closed on the property prior to getting into the property. So I have a rehab. It's a 3-1.
Can I stop you for a
Yeah.
second? You bought a house without getting in it?
His first rental.
First rental. the house without
No,
ever
you
getting
bought
into it.
some.
He doesn't sound super conservative all the time,
No,
does
he
he?
doesn't.
He's a crazy
Against
man.
my morals so much.
Where did you learn that technique?
I was basically told to do it. No,
He just told him he had to.
no, it just kind of organically happened. I was like, it's a 3-1 slab in Wentzville. I can see the outside of it. I went to the outside of it. Didn't need much, just some landscaping. Didn't need a new roof, but it was a $2,500 roof. So I was like, yeah, I'll put it in my budget was like 15 to 20 grand tops to do the rest of the inside of it there. So get into the property, and this is a rookie property manager, project manager, myself running the rehab crew. And I'm just not the most efficient at it. So that 20 grand moved to 30 grand really quick.
Yeah.
Needed a new HVAC system, needed everything. That whole inside of the house is brand new now. So I'm into this house for like 32 grand now. When it comes to decide to get this, to move this as a rental, I'm like, man, I'm probably gonna lose, or I'm gonna have to come out of pocket like 5 to 6 grand here.
On the refinance.
On the refi side,
So
to
you
get
were a
to
little
80%.
You were a little more than 80% into the deal at that point.
Exactly. So I was like, I can make 10 to 12 if I flip it. So that's what I was going to do. I was going to try to make the smart play and make the money. That goes back to when you buy a property, you have multiple exit strategies.
Good.
Something I learned from you. Thank you. Went to flip it, and then it sat on the market. I had it under contract twice. It's a beautiful house. Everything was perfect with it. I got a bad inspection notice back saying that the sewer lateral was clogged. It freaked one of the buyers out. Whatever, it was a $2,000 fix. It wasn't that big of a deal. Went back on the market, had it under contract again, and they got cold feet again. So I was like, man, what's going on here? And then the light switch went on again, and I was like, my original goal is to make this a rental, just make it a rental. So that's where I'm at now.
Yeah, I think it comes back to kind of velocity of money too, because you put some cash into that rehab. So maybe you won't make any money, but you're going to get all that cash back probably quicker than you would have on a refinance than you would if you sold it retail.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. I have about 30 grand tied. My wife and I supported the rehab on it, so we have 30 grand tied up into the property. I didn't want to pay Suzanne the hard money loan on the third 30 grand because we had it. So I was like, yeah, make that.
So you used hard money to buy
I
it.
used hard money to buy it, just the purchase price. And then once the rehab, and I was like, I will never do that again. So it's another lesson learned. I will never tie up 30 grand of my own money into a property again. Because I have another one right now that I could have used it on as well. But I'm just going to keep business money aside and keep her personal money in my bank. So, but that's kind of the story of kind of going back to it, going into a second rental. I have another one in Wentzville right now as well that I'm working on. So.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a good rental for you, and you got it fixed up in great shape, so there'll be very little maintenance over the long term, and it'll be good.
It'll be good it'll be a good long-term investment. The short term is a couple bumps, but in the long term, it's going to be a great investment.
Yeah, it's a living learning. To my point, I was conservative. I didn't want to lose money out of pocket, and that's ultimately what made the decision to try to make it a flip. But going forward, I know if I have $4,000 or $5,000 into a property, I'll get that back.
Yeah, but it's better putting 20% down up front.
Yep, and my goal is to build a rental portfolio, not to be a rehabber. So stick to your vision.
Yep.
It's good. It's good to have a vision. And Phil, you're not the only. I've had a house that I thought I was going to keep as a rental and flipped it, and I had a house that I thought I was going to flip and keep it as a rental. So, I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
So it's not unusual. But, so guys, you got anything else to add before we wrap it up today?
I don't think so, really. I just thanks for everyone for watching, and go to FasterFreedom.com. We have a webinar that we're launching next week. We are teaching Sam is me, Chris and Brian are teaching how we built the rental portfolio. Our combined rental portfolio is almost $25 million in actual worth. We collect over $200,000 a month in rent between the three of us. We're going to teach you how to do that for an extremely low price. If I could have done this at the beginning of my investing career, after I'd done a few or done even none, I would have saved myself a lot of money having these steps. And we're going to teach you every single thing you need to know about buying a rental portfolio with no money out of pocket. So go to www.fasterfreedom.com/webinar to sign up. Check out our YouTube channel. If you're not watching through YouTube, we teach a lot of stuff on there, but it's a great value. So definitely strongly suggest looking into that if you actually want to build a rental portfolio and become financially free through real estate rather than banging your head into a wall every turn. Let us help guide you there so you can do it quicker and do it better.
Thanks for joining us today, guys. We'll be back next Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Thanks for joining us, Phil Blackwood. It was fun.
You got it. Absolutely. Thanks, Phil.
All right. See ya.